Pat Morita is known for playing Mr. Miyagi in the Karate Kid movies with Ralph Macchio. He also played Ah Chu in Sanford and Son from 1974 to 1976. Ah Chu, get it? All American Girl wasn't the first Asian sitcom. It was maybe the first Asian show with an all Asian cast and female lead, Margaret Cho, but Pat was the lead actor in Mr. T and Tina in 1976 and O'Hara from 1987 to 1988. When I was a kid, growing up in Long Island, New York, there weren't a lot of Asians in my neighborhood, just the people who worked at the dry cleaners and Chinese restaurants. I knew a handful of Asians in my school. I hung out with none of them. We had nothing in common other than we looked like each other. On TV, there weren't many Asians either. I would watch those horribly dubbed kung fu movies on Saturday afternoons, and of course MASH, the TV show about the Korean War that debuted in 1972. I liked Hawkeye. He had a dry sense of humor. Pat also guest starred on that show. Then came Happy Days in 1974, an American sitcom set in the 1950s and 60s Milwaukee. I was 8 years old at the time. The show was about a family called the Cunninghams, but my favorite character was Fonzie, a cool dude in a leather jacket that got the girl and was able to fix stuff just by knocking his fist on it. I wanted to be him, but was probably more like Richie Cunningham or his friends Patsy Weber and Ralph Malph. Then Pat Morita joined Happy Days in 1975 as Arnold, owner of Arnold's Drive-In. His real name on the show was Matsuo Takahashi, but who would go to a greasy spoon called Matsuo's? It was the first time I saw an Asian who owned something other than a laundromat. I liked the way he laughed.
Those crazy kids, huh? They eat at home, come here, use the telephone. No wonder all the business in the toilet.
And then he would also go.
Rip off my tongue.
His character did have an Asian accent, but not over the top like Long Duck Dong. He laughed at his own jokes and at himself sometimes. He was loved and respected by the other characters. I liked Arnold. I liked Pat Morita. Here's a factoid. The pinball machine at Arnold's was called Nip It by Bally's. Had nothing to do with Japan, but the word nip was actually a slur for Japanese at the time. I thought he was just a comedic actor. I didn't know he did stand-up and was a stand-up comedian before doing TV and movies like The Karate Kid. I only found that out when I Googled his name and watched his sets on YouTube. He nicknamed himself the Hip Nip.
I think I came transistorized myself. But working at a club isn't like working. I don't have what we call an act. You know, I figured my people lost the war. Why act? And I know this from experience because, as you know, last fall when I took a little break from the clubs, I went to Japan, and that was wild, looking like all them people and them not being able to talk like me. And I would get like a lot of nutty questions, you know, like, why you not speak Japanese? And I would make up one excuse after another. Tell them I'm an Irish Italian suffering from jaundice. I even told him once I was colored. Would you believe it? Yeah, I said, guy says, oh, if you colored, why you not talk colored? So I said, I'll so there, baby. It's a little rough trying to tap dance in these slippers. Ate my watermelon with chopsticks a little bit. Spirituals knocked me out. Glory, glory, hallelujah. See, now, that's from personal experience because I was indeed colored at one time. December the 8th, 41, I became colored. Because, you know, I mean, I wasn't too cool to be one of us and, you know, fighting them 9-foot soldiers. John Wayne included. It's a drag. My people only had 4-foot soldiers, 6-foot guns. Crashing their airplanes into people's houses. That was a drag. I would never do that. I bruise. Anything I hate to see is a black and blue little nipper. I've seen a few, like last year when I went to Japan, I saw a few. I saw a lot of things in Japan. They got a lot of nutty things in Japan. They got, I saw a machine that copies a Xerox. I saw a guy with a Jewish gardener. So many things to see in Japan. Little geisha broads running up and down people's backs, trying to sober them up. Sober up, you. They sober the hell out of you. I mean, because I know that from experience. I drink a lot, Cutty sake. Whenever I can get it, But I saw a movie about a giant moth that invades New York City and eats up the garment district. I love those science fiction things. Oh, and I saw a Japanese war movie that kind of showed them winning for a change. It was a satirical thing. It was like their pilots got to wear the white scarves. They had the straight teeth and the snappy uniform. Beautiful, yeah. The American soldier had the thick glasses. Hairy mouth and the halitosis. Dumb tennis sneakers, oh man. And they had one very clever scene in there. They showed this lieutenant colonel trying to break the news to his men that they blew it. 4 years of running and all this, fighting and carrying on. Now, he was clever. He was cool is what he was. He just lined his men all up, Okay, men, line up. Oh, cool. Some of you guys turn around and face me, please. Cool. Today, I got a two-piece of great news for you. First news, 50,000 brand new troops coming to this island. And the troops go, banzai. 7 aircraft carrier, banzai. 900,000 round ammunition, banzai. Second news, they're not armed.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this video on Pat Morita. It was nice to discover that he was a comedian before being a TV and movie star. I'm not going to comment on his stand-up other than there were parts I loved and parts where I cringed a little. But given that it was the 60s and 70s, a lot of bits back then wouldn't even fly today, even if it's self-deprecating humor. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and thanks a lot for watching.